Hi, welcome back to episode or week 2 of the Angry Black Woman podcast, and today we're from the history of colorism. Before we can delve deep into what this whole podcast is about, we have from the history of what we're talking about first. And a lot of people don't know the history of colorism. A lot of people think it's just black women being jealous that quote unquote they didn't get picked, and that's not it. Colorism is a real thing, and it's because of white supremacy that thing still exists. So we're going to delve into that and talk about that today. What is colorism? Colorism is a practice of discrimination by which those with lighter skin are treated more favorably than those with darker skin. This is a product of white supremacy, and it upholds the white standards of beauty and benefits white people and institutions of oppression like the media, the medical field, etc. So basically, colorism is a thing because of basically colonization and Western European influences. Because back in Africa, we didn't have any knowledge of, someone's better because of color. We're all black. That's it. I mean, not saying there are no light-skinned Africans. I'm pretty sure there was. But we didn't base them off of, their lightness. We were all together as one. But because of slavery and colonization, they took us to America and told us the closer you are to white, the better you are. And unfortunately, some people believe that, and some people still perpetuate that to this day. Not just light-skinned people do this. All of us do it. All perpetuate that light is better, and light and bright and close to white. That's that's the thing. But we should work hard to dismantle that and show that we're all beautiful, no matter what skin color or what tone, whatever. We're beautiful because we're together. We're black. Black is beautiful, period. There is no team light skin, team dark skin. We are beautiful because we are black, period. And colorism really comes to play during slavery, and it talks about how, I'm going to tell you about how back then slaves with lighter skin are assigned domestic tasks, while slaves with darker skin were forced to work in the fields doing much more grueling tasks, and lighter skinned slaves were favored because they were often the product of slave owner raping a slave, thus creating a lighter skinned child. And so I can imagine that imagine that I'm a light-skinned slave. I'm working in the house. When I see dark-skinned slaves working all day, I'm going to assume they're bad. I'm going to say I'm better because, look at me. I'm in the house, so therefore I am better than you because you work in the fields. And I'm not saying that they're bad people for this. This all happens because of white supremacy. This is all because of white supremacy and them raping our homeland. But with that being said, you all choose to continue to perpetuate it in 2020, and that's not okay. Like back then, I'm gonna get past this because cooning was used to survive back then. In order for you to survive slavery, you had to basically assimilate to that culture. So I don't want people passing on that, but it is no longer 1860. Cooning is not survival no more. You all can stop with that. You all can really stop. And so after slavery, we get to, black people are getting jobs and stuff like that. And we have paper bag tests. And if you know what the paper bag test is, and in fact, in the 20th century, the paper bag test was often utilized in black spaces in the hiring of black people. If someone was the same color as or lighter than a paper bag, they would be allowed into the space or for hire. And then we can go on to say, in the hiring practices, skin tone was often the most important factor in applying for work as a person of color in the mid-20th century. Light skin was often reported on a resume ahead of any other information or experience. And I'm going to be honest, some light-skinned people are really earthy with the whole, we experience colorism too, we got the colorism. And here's what to say. Mean comments and colorism are two different things. Light-skinned people can experience racism from white people, but they cannot experience colorism for dark-skinned people, because being called light brown or piss-colored yellow does not compare to having to not be able to get a job because you're dark-skinned. We can't even survive because of our skin color. I don't know how that compares to, being called light bright. Because I don't know, I think not being able to work is worse than being called light bright. And this is not patronizing. I am patronizing. I'm patronizing the ones who need to be patronized. I'm patronizing the people who want to have a victim mentality and have like a whole all lives matter type be about colorism. Because, to be honest, I'm not going to really be arguing people on colorism anymore, because of the sheer fact that I'm tired of having to continue to educate of being calling a better black woman. Hence my podcast, Directly Black Woman. So, if you don't believe me and you think this is just me shitting on light-skinned women or light-skinned people in general, I have some stats here for you all. So, light-skinned women were sentenced to approximately 12% less time behind bars than dark-skinned women. In 2006, University of Georgia study showed employers prefer light-skinned men over dark-skinned men, regardless of qualifications. Light-skinned males with bachelors preferred over dark-skinned males with an MBA and past management positions. Vanderbilt University studied 2,000 immigrants from around the world. Light-skinned earned 8 to 50% more than dark-skinned with the same qualifications. Dark-skinned defendants are more likely to be convicted and receive the death penalty than lighter-skinned defendants. And India's skin lightening cream, Fair and Lovely, boasts 38 million users worldwide. Dark-skinned Brazilians make up 60% of the poorest sectors of Brazil. And, this world is not meant for us, to be honest. This world, as we know it, has been so muddled with European colonization that anything that's not close to white is seen as evil and bad. There is no reason why I am more likely to be sentenced to death than any other person. There's no reason for that. There's no reason I get sentenced to more time in prison. There's no reason why I'm gonna get overshadowed over a lighter-skinned person because of their skin. This cannot continue, and I will not allow it to continue. I often get criticized a lot for just talking and not doing. Well, right now I am doing. This podcast is me doing. Me speaking out is me doing this. And I also want to drive home the point of I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at talking just by myself. In case y'all didn't know, a friend of mine is not set in stone yet. But a friend and I are going to be collaborating on podcasts. So sometimes it'll just be with myself, sometimes we'll hear her as well. And she's making podcasts too. So when I give more information about that and where you can follow her at, I can give you her information and stuff like that. I'm sorry, their information. But hold on. I think I'm being a little bit too unfair here. I think I'm being a little too harsh. I can admit that. I can admit that it's not light-skinned people's fault they're being fetishized. I can say that. Yes. And part of the fetishization comes from Louisiana octaroon balls. And I don't use the word octaroon like normally because I know it's a slur, but I'm going to say it because that's what they were called. An octaroon is a person who is 1/8 black. A quadroon is someone who is 1/4 black. An octaroon was coined by Thomas Jefferson, who never freed his black children or mistress. And I use the term mistress loosely because we don't know if she was raped or we don't know if it was consensual or whatever. I mean, to be honest, for real, I wouldn't choose to date Thomas Jefferson. I mean, have y'all seen him? And I think it's something about Thomas Jefferson, how, you know, it's cool to live with a black woman, but it's not okay to provide for your children. I'm gonna bring that up later. It's gonna be brought up again, but you know, give me a little sneak peek of what I'm gonna talk about. So anyway, quadroon attended these lavish balls with the hope to form a plus-age relationship with eligible white men, and these contracts between these white men and people of color were legally binding. These contracts were for monogamy or for extramarital affairs. So, in these contracts, you would have women giving up their octaroon daughters, or one black daughters, to white men, saying, you know, we date her. And so what they would do is that they would form these passages, and you can't really they weren't gonna get married because even though they're still a white passing person of color, they're still a person of color. So interracial marriage is legal. So what they would do is they have these little contracts, and the contract would guarantee that they give them a nice little home and provide for any children they may have. But here's the problem with that. I'm making this a lot. You're still a Negro. You're still a nigger. So, you know, they're gonna be with you for a little bit, you know. And then they would dump. If they wanted to get serious with somebody, they would dump the pardon my wording. They would dump the octaroon girls and settle down with a fully white person. And you know, we can see that in today. We can reflect that in today's culture, but that's not what we're talking about. Free women of color were very powerful, and they owned land, slaves, and property and businesses, and they didn't need a relationship with a white man. So it's more like these relationships with octaroon women were fetishizing, and that's where I said that some black people feel better with themselves and feel that they're better than people because they're often fetishized by a lot of people. They are the beauty standard in today's society. Let's be honest. White girls want to be light skinned. Black girls want to be light skinned. Everybody wants to be light skinned. Everybody wants to be racially ambiguous. Everybody wants to have that yellow skin, big lips, tiny nose, big butt, small waist. They want that. They're the beauty standard. And they can't help being fetishized, I'm not gonna lie, because they've been fetishized since slavery. They've been fetishized with work in the house and being octaroons. They've been fetishized with that. But like I always say, you can stop perpetuating it. You don't have to do this for survival anymore. You can stop perpetuating these stereotypes, stop perpetuating these harmful ideologies. But they don't want to. It's the attention. I mean, if dress women got the attention like this, do you think we would stop doing what we're doing because no one's attention? Humans are innate. They love attention. But, you know, sometimes I have to think and realize, is it worth it? Is it worth putting people through pain for this? Is it worth it? But anyway, back to the octaroon thing. In the lead up before the Civil War, the number of people of color who could publicly gather was severely restricted. Whites attacked free people of color. In 1859, Louisiana legislation proposed to re-enslave free people of color and seizing their property. I feel that's so kind of a warning to light-skinned people who feel they're superior. Now, again, I'm going to say this again, this is not for all light-skinned people. It's for people that feel superior. The same way that they were oozing over you and saying how amazing you are and how beautiful you were, but then they were willing to put you back into slavery. That's like how modern day is. Like people, I'm not saying people, I'm gonna say white people. And all people are like that, but I'm using an example. White people are going to say you're amazing, you're great, you're awesome. But this is their world. Let's not forget that. This is, they conquered this. I mean, we're taking it back with, with all these protests and rioting. We're taking this shit back. But we're living in a white supremacist society. So the same way they argue you and say you're amazing, they can easily put you back into an oppressive state. And, let's not forget that. Let's not act like because, we're cool with them, whatever, they're going to be nice to us. No. They're always going to have that feeling that they're over you, no matter how cool you get with one. So, and let's also get some more stats in here. Dark-skinned women are less likely to be married. The difference in pay between light-skinned men and dark-skinned women. The difference in pay between light-skinned men and dark-skinned men. Light-skinned men get paid more than dark-skinned men. Dark-skinned girls are most likely to be suspended from school than light-skinned girls. And light-skinned people seem to be smarter than dark-skinned people. And I'm going to bring my own experiences with colorism and how it affected me in my life. I'm a dark-skinned woman. I said this a million times. I am dark-skinned. And I love my dark skin. I would not change it for anything else. I love how pretty it is. I love how it glistens in the sun. I love how, my skin is just beautiful. It's so even and perfect and clear and amazing. I love my skin. I love being dark skinned. What I don't love is the insecurity that comes with it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very insecure with my dark skin. It's always been insecurity my entire life. I learned to hate it, to love it, but still be insecure about it. Where I'm coming from is just that black men always say how they don't like dark-skinned girls. They like them like bright, cute hair and, your chick features. That's what they like. And with non-black men, it feels like I'm a fetish to them, to be honest. I had an ex-boyfriend who was non-black, and he had this thing where he liked black women dominating him. And that's a very, very harmful ideology because dark-skinned women are always seen as aggressive and hard and, thuggish or whatever. So I don't know what to do about, dark-skinned women being dominated by dark-skinned women. But, it's hard to date as a dark-skinned woman because I never know if I'm going to be talked down on or if I'm just a fetish. And that's nothing to do with all the time. I just really date because I feel like sometimes my dark skin is always going to be an issue. It's always being brought up. And it's something that I need to work on. But it's hard. I'm constantly reminded with so many images of that, how I'll never be good enough. And I know a lot of other dark skin girls can relate. But we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that. Because we are going to learn to love our melanin. We are going to be unapologetically black. This podcast is about I'm learning to. I'm not just educating you. I'm learning to as well. We're all going to learn how to love ourselves. We're all going to learn how to love to be black. We're all going to love to learn how to be black as possible. That's what we're going to do. That's my mission, So I'm glad that I had this time to talk about colorism and what we're going to be talking about the next month. And this is week 2. Next week we are going to be talking about colorism in the modern age. And what I mean by that is how, like I stated earlier, is how black women are the standard of beauty. For white women and black women, they are the standard. They are that. So we're going to talk about how that contributes. We're going to talk about, like in pop culture, what references we're getting, things like that sort. So I hope, I'm so sorry. Hope you'll have a fantastic week, and I'll see y'all next week. And this is Any Black Woman signing out. Bye.